And we are back on the air after a couple weeks hiatus due to all of the things. We'll get to some more talking about that as we go on with the show. But I am your host, Brother Bob, here with Smarkdown Radio. And on the phone, we will have Travis Skyping in because he is back on the road again after a couple long weeks of misfortunes for him, which he will mention when we get to video here, I am sure. But before we go to Travis, we're gonna cut a advertisement for IPW Wrestling, Independence Pro Wrestling, which is coming to Grand Rapids, Michigan at the Masonic Temple on March the 2nd. General admission tickets are $10. And if you're local to West Michigan, if you're in Chicago or Detroit, come join us, guys. Like, we drive out to your shows all the time. Come join us. Have fun. Check the show out. We did an interview that went up earlier this week with the owner of IPW. That there'll be a link at the end of this show. So we hope you'll come check it out. We're going to cut to a video about that, and then we'll bring in Travis via the Skypes to talk about all things professional wrestling.
IWGP debuts in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Independence Pro Wrestling comes to the Masonic Temple March 2nd. Join us as five-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion and Impact Wrestling star Jimmy Jacobs returns home to take on Aaron Orion in the finals of the Michiana Championship Tournament. The Monroes defend their IWGP Tag Team Championship in a no disqualification, no count-out contest against old-timer Jeff James and Russ Jones. The Michigan Heavyweight Championship is on the line as the end of the world Jake Oman defends his title against the Black Diamond, Jack Price. All this and much more. General admission is $10. Doors open at 6. Bell time at 7. Don't miss it.
Boom.
And there he is, Brother Travis, joining us on Smarkdown Radio via the Skypes.
Live from a hotel in Lackawanna, New York.
Well, you know.
Always something, right?
Yeah, so, if you take my advice, like I gave you before on the show, and stop having car problems, we could actually do this shit in the studio.
No. So, because we do talk a little bit about our kind of our day-to-day, so I've had catastrophic engine failure in 2 vehicles in the last 7 weeks. And in my company truck, I had somebody cut me off on the highway, and I rear-ended them and got into a huge accident 3 days ago. So we're running. The luck's running.
And this is, of course, after we've had a week of, like, blizzardy snow that shut down everything in town, followed by, 3 days with no power due to ice storms.
All right. So nobody wants to hear about that. They want to hear about WWE. And their terrible ratings and their terrible booking and them being so desperate that it looks like we're going to get a Roman Reigns sighting. The big dog!
Yeah. We got some stuff to talk about since our last show. We got the Bullet Club is still fine. We got all of what you just said in regards to WWE, WrestleMania. Is that fine is the question. We'll have to discuss that. And we got to talk about AEW. A lot of stuff happened there since we've been on. So where do you want to jump in? You want to jump on with this WWE stuff?
Let's talk trashy Raw. I can't watch the whole thing.
Hashtag
I just can't.
Things louder than this crowd.
Everything was louder than this crowd.
Yeah.
So they were in where were they? They were Shreveport.
Lafayette. I believe it was Lafayette, Louisiana.
Lafayette. Yep, at the Cajun Dome.
Yep.
And they had multiple NXT call-ups.
Sure did.
And they couldn't manage to. This is not knowing their audience. Like those, if those call-ups would have happened in a northeastern market or like Chicago, the pops would have been through the roof.
So you know where Raw is in 2 weeks?
I don't, but
Philadelphia. Yep. And you've been on the road all day, so I'm assuming you haven't heard the report. This was all last minute, and Vince did not discuss it with Triple H. Vince went to somebody and said, "Who's the top NXT guys?" and they gave him the names, and he's like, all right, we're going to use those guys. And Triple H came in kind of flabbergasted about what was going on when he arrived at Raw.
Well, I did hear the story and the reports that said that the booking was actually, when Vince initially booked it, there was going to be a Finn Balor Ricochet match.
Yes, and Triple H made the change to that.
Triple H was able to talk him out of that.
Yep.
Justifying, Finn can't take a loss because he just won the Intercontinental Championship, and it would be wrong to, bring Ricochet up and spoil him with a loss. So what are we going to do here? But I did not hear that report. No, today has been an absolute cluster for me. I've been trying to follow what I could. I didn't get a chance to really peruse the dirt sheets.
Cool.
I did get to listen to Cornette's podcast that he did either yesterday or the day before, and he's watching Raw and breaking it down.
On your recommendation, I listened to that yesterday, and that was a fantastic podcast.
Did you listen? Because he's done two experiences in a row.
Right, no, I just listened to the first
Raw.
one with when he watched FTR win the tag titles. That's the one I listened to.
He did another one where he watched Raw this week again, and he breaks it down, and he absolutely eviscerates the booking, and it is hilarious. And
I'm gonna have to listen to it.
It's no secret I'm a Cornette fan. It's no secret I don't like the super silly stuff, right? But I do disagree with Cornette when it comes to guys like Omega and whatnot. I think there's still good wrestling out there. But to listen to him break some of this down, especially like when he broke down the why they can't get and retain new viewers because of their formatting, it makes complete sense. Guys, go, like we could rehash that all night. Go check out Cornette's last two experiences, the Jim Cornette experience, because he nails it. I assume if you listen to us, you probably listen to all the podcasts, right? So you're probably already listening to it. But if you're not, go check it out. It's funny and insightful all in one. It's amazing.
Sure is. Now, but the other thing you might not have heard about Raw, which I'll fill you in on now, is that with all this rewriting and last minute Vince bringing up NXT guys, apparently at the hour and a half point of Raw, they were still getting updated scripts to production. So they're halfway through their show and we're still finishing writing for the rest of the show.
So we've talked a little bit, Bob. We've done some event production, right? Not in the wrestling business, obviously. We're just fans. But we've done some event production. And not 20 people, 350 plus people. Okay. Yep. So obviously not WWE scale, but it's not just, 35 people in a room either. As somebody who's produced events in the 300 to 400 range, I find it unfathomable. Like I can't wrap my mind around being that ill prepared leading into my event. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a $1 billion corporation that is rewrite. And this wasn't an injury. There wasn't some crazy injury. I know reports were they were banking on Seth Rollins being cleared at this point. But that goes back to the mismanagement. If a guy is injured, not cleared, just don't count on him until he is clear. You've got so much talent there. Use the talent you have. And if they are mismanaged to the point where they're still writing scripts and promos and booking in the middle of the show, in the middle of a live national television show, that is a level of problem that is so deep and so ingrained in that company that I'm not sure it can be fixed while Vince McMahon is in charge. Like, I don't see it being, and even after Vince is gone and out of that position, and I don't wish Vince ill. That's not what I'm saying. But should Vince retire, I don't think that'll ever happen. But when Vince passes, I don't know if the culture can be changed enough at this point in that company to bring the product back. Like, I've got the ratings for the last 5 Raws, Bob, and they slipped again. They're back down 2.462. You did have a spike in late January at 2.7, but it just fell right back off again. And it is just stunning to me that they have taken the most talented roster ever compiled in wrestling history and not found a way to get guys over and put on compelling storylines, even in their sports entertainment world of whatever. You're telling me you can't find a way to tell compelling stories and format your show to make it interesting?
Well, it's definitely an inherent issue right at this point with the company. Now, I'm going to make a statement here, and you tell me if you hear anything I say that is incorrect in said statement. We're going to play a game. You mentioned that they were expecting to have Seth Rollins back, and that being part of the reason that they had to rewrite things. One of the other reported reasons is that Vince McMahon has found out that The Undertaker is now working for AEW and is livid that The Undertaker is working for AEW Wrestling. That The Undertaker is now working for AEW Wrestling. Have you picked out the thing yet that I am incorrectly stating?
The Undertaker is working for AEW Wrestling?
Yes, because Vince McMahon doesn't understand the difference between AEW and StarCast, according to reports.
But that's believable.
Yep.
I absolutely believe that. I can absolutely believe that Vince thinks they're the same thing.
Yeah.
And that he's going to be on that show.
And that is part of the quick reaction of we need to bring up some new people. According to sources backstage that have come out across numerous dirt sheets at this point, Vince McMahon has said about the current roster of talent who are not injured in the WWE that they are not superstars and will never be superstars, and that is why they need to bring up new talent.
This is a 70-something-year-old man who doesn't understand his own company anymore. Like, I'm sorry. Vince was a genius and pioneered multiple revolutions in pro wrestling, changing it to sports entertainment and turning it into $1 billion business. You can never take that away from him, okay? But you have to be objective when you're looking at what he's doing today with his company and the way it is ran, and you have to say it is time for him to go. He has to go. And I know it won't happen. It's not going to happen. Okay. He's going to be in Gorilla. I could see him dying in Gorilla.
Yeah.
Like that. And I don't say that like as a joke. I mean that dead seriously. I could see him being in Gorilla at a pay-per-view or at a Monday Night Raw. And, and not soon, like in 10 years. Mm-hmm. And dying of a heart attack or stroke.
Very least, just suffering for one, if not dying for one, suffering for one, and having to be rushed to medical. Yeah.
Everybody says Vince is a workaholic. He works and he works out. That's what he does. Those are the two things. That's what he lives to do. And that, it drove him to these heights. It drove him to incredible heights. He put his competition out of business, essentially. He ran the competition out of business. He beat everyone. He conquered the world. And now, because he's so driven to do it his way's not working anymore. The landscape of wrestling has changed. It is such an intricate and nuanced issue that people will point to one thing, and wrestling fans are terrible with this. They'll say one thing, oh, this is what's wrong with wrestling. Well, there are a couple of big things, but I think it is a lot of little and medium things. A lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, the format of the show hasn't changed in 15 years. It's big long promo at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It has made little changes. Okay,
none for the better though. I mean, we both listened to Cornette and Tim talk about the things that are changed.
Talking, but the basic template for the format of the show since the Attitude Era has been kick off the show, big long promo segment, match, promo match, that type of. The promos have gotten have overtaken the wrestling in the show. That's changed. But that initial format where you get and we talked about it on our old shows, and I am working on getting those old shows up so we can have some classic content. But we've talked about it since we rebooted on YouTube, how the show always seems better when that first segment, that opening segment, is 12 minutes as opposed to 24 minutes. Yeah. When you have a 12-minute promo or 14-minute promo and then go right into a match, the show always flows better because it's something different. It's not that it's flowing different. They're flowing, better. It's just that it's different, and we don't have to sit through 30 minutes of talking and commercials to get into a match that's already underway.
Well, that was always something WCW did really well. They would have their weeks they come in and you'd have a 20-minute Hulk Hogan NWO segment, but then you'd have other weeks where they come in and there'd be a big backstage brawl that started out the show, or a cruiserweight match would start at the show. They mixed it up on a regular basis during the years they were actually winning the Monday Night War. It wasn't until the later years of the NWO that they really went towards like a promo at the start of every single show, and that's when they started losing ratings.
And Cornette nailed it too. Well, and you had two things in the WCW era since you brought it up. You had the never-ending promo at the top of the show because they were trying to match WWE, and then you had the schmoz fest at the end of the show. That's how every show started and ended. Even though there were format changes in the middle, you were getting different matches and different talent almost every single week.
Yep.
The top of the show was always a big long promo, and the end of the show always ended in an NWO schmoz fest. And it got old after, 8 weeks. I was over it. I was like, okay, well, we're locked into this pattern. When are they going to change the pattern? And they just kind of never did. And that's what but WWE's been doing this for, well over a decade now. Yep. And not only have they refused to change the pattern, they've doubled down on what people are tired of, the talking. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think that's why maybe Vince is definitely, I think his lack of understanding about the difference between StarCast and AEW, and seeing, Taker on that event and doing an event outside of WWE. That's a little scary. Yep. That's a little scary. I could, especially for a guy who doesn't care about anything outside his own company. Absolutely. But he has lost a fundamental understanding of what is going to get over in, again, he's a 70-something-year-old guy. How many 70-something-year-old guys do you know that are in touch with, 18 to 25-year-olds, or very even 35-year-olds?
Very few.
They're just, it's not very common. It just doesn't happen a lot. Yep. Okay? On top of that, you include Vince's ego. And it's a recipe for disastrous ratings and disastrous booking and a terrible product. That's where we're at.
What speaks volumes to me is that, we always say, Vince doesn't listen to the fans. He's out of touch with the fans. He doesn't respect the fan base. We say stuff like that. It's true. But the thing that really stands out to me about Monday was, these reports that he went down to NXT, pulled guys out of their pool without talking to Triple H at all. Not even saying, hey, I'm doing this. Not asking him who he thought was ready to bring up when this is supposed to be Triple H's product. It shows that he doesn't seem to respect those in his company very much at this point either, at least their point of view. And the way they brought them up, if you look at the feud that Ciampa and Gargano are part of, and this week's NXT, you see one of them ask the other one to come out to the ring for him and with them and to get turned down because they aren't best friends. come up and tag team as good friends on the Raw roster. And word has it that they're talking about these 4 guys working all three brands, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. How you're going to do that with current stories still going on in NXT that you're going to have to just push to the side that has built for years between those guys and with Aleister Black. And I mean, you're going to push all that to the side, and then they're going to have different people on every show that they're feuding with. It's going to be really interesting to see if this can even be accomplished in somewhat of a competent way.
So I know the report came out also that NXT is going to be a part of the Superstar Shakeup, the next one that happens. So there's going to be talent flying all over the place. And this is not a good thing either. The one stable product in the company was NXT. You would get a round of call-ups, 2 or 3 people, and then NXT would, they would finish them up down there, and then they would come up to the main roster. That's not happening now because Vince found a new toy in his toy box. That's what it is. And Vince is going to do what Vince wants to do. That's how it's always been. Vince, some of my favorite WWE moments in history. It's no coincidence that it's work shoot type promos on Vince.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with a lot, Heyman's work shoot promo where he talks about how Vince robbed him of his life. Joey Styles' "I Quit" promo, stuff like that.
Yeah, just CM Punk's pipe bomb.
Yeah, Punk's pipe bomb. The work shoot promos have always been some of my favorite stuff because there's a lot of, again, reality sells in wrestling. When you blur those lines, that's what a lot of people, especially me, that's what I like. And it's all stuff that I agree with. You can't not put Vince over for what he did, but again, you got to be critical and honest when he's wrecking stuff, and that's all he's doing. He's just a giant wrecking ball. And I mentioned the ratings, but Forbes is a really fantastic. Again, the dirt sheets are fine for rumors, and they lead to great discussion. I've been getting a lot of my info from Forbes.com. They're doing a really good job of following the WWE and the AEW news. And one of the things they posted was the WWE total YouTube viewership.
Okay.
They lost almost 3.5 million total views in a week.
Did we pick those up?
I wish.
Me too.
And it goes to show you that the product is not when it's not compelling, people aren't going to go look at those clips online. Exactly. We're skipping more and more of the Monday night and the Tuesday night shows. We're just kind of picking them out, but you go to YouTube or you fast forward on your DVR through those, even the YouTube numbers are down.
Yeah. And that's important. Like you said, the people who aren't watching live, the argument always is, well, people don't watch live anymore. They find it through their DVRs. And then when they started showing DVR numbers down, people were like, well, YouTube, they're gonna pick out the clips they want. People are still watching WWE. It's not like they're losing numbers. But looking at the YouTube numbers, man, their YouTube numbers dropping, that's a problem for them. This is all about sponsorships. It's all about, selling advertising. It's about, the money they can make from networks. And when numbers across the board for viewership drops, it's harmful for them as a company.
Now, SmackDown is kind of in a little different position for whatever reason, and I think it's really Daniel Bryan.
And Becky Lynch.
Yeah. Their viewership is on a slight uptick. Now it's still lagging behind Raw. We understand that, but apparently, allegedly, this is causing some concerns over at Fox and that big deal that they did. And they want that. They want those ratings up, and that's a big deal.
Yep. I mean, I'd be concerned if I spent that kind of money on something that wasn't getting ratings.
Well, let's not act like those two contracts didn't influence. I don't. Again, I've listened to a lot of Tony Khan interviews. I'm trying to listen to anytime he does an interview. Those contracts directly influenced his decision to kind of throw his hat in the ring, and get his father's backing to put together AEW with Cody and the Bucks and everything. He saw those television deals, and this is something he wanted to do, but he wasn't gonna just do it and lose money, like so many other promoters have in the past, where I want to run a wrestling company, and you just kind of fund a wrestling company because it's fun and you like it.
Yeah, like
yes,
Turner.
Yes, he likes it. He's a big fan, lifelong fan, all those things. But he saw an opportunity here. Yes, he's going to lose money initially. Yes, the initial investment is a hefty one. But if the reports are true and the initial investment's $100 million, with the names they have on the roster, would it be realistic to say that they could get $100 million TV contract out of the gate when you've got the two WWE shows getting $500 million?
Yeah.
Like, could you recoup your $100 million right out of the gate? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Everybody, I know there's a lot of people hating on AEW right now. Oh, they don't even run house shows, and they don't have TV, and guys, if you really listen to what Tony Khan and Cody and the Bucks and these guys are saying, and kind of dissect it and say, all right, we don't have all the detail. There's TV. Like I've been saying for 6 weeks now, they've got a TV deal. I am confident in that. I am if I had extra money, which I don't right now because of those car problems, and somebody were willing to say, hey, you want to put down a bet? They don't have TV, and they won't have TV. They're not going to have TV by the end of the year.
Mm.
Okay, I'd take that bet because not only do I think I know it's been they're going to have TV. I think there's a deal side. I right now I think they have a deal side. I just think it's not announced yet because they're putting the infrastructure in place to kick it off, and it's a great marketing campaign. There's so much heat around AEW, and fans are being super critical. Oh, it's an announcement every week, and when does this all become real? Well, it's all very real, guys. The reason they're slow feeding us these announcements is called marketing. It keeps the hype going. If you just dump everything in 2 weeks, and then you don't have your TV show doesn't start till fall, which would be logical. Mm-hmm. They've got the show set up, kicking off, your TV program in the fall to coincide with the fall show lineups. Makes total sense. Yep. Why would you announce everything up front? It's stupid. You keep the hype going as long as possible and keep feeding us interesting information every week or two. It keeps us talking about it, and not just people who are doing podcasts and content. It keeps fans talking about it.
Well, we've talked about how WWE announcing like who's going in at number 30 into the Rumble, or what all the participants are in a match, or over promoting things that could be a good surprise. Oftentimes are overly done, that they're overly sharing this information before the show. Sometimes like the day of the show, like a couple of hours before, they give you basically what's going to happen, and people are like, oh, well, then I'm not going to tune in. This is the exact opposite of that. This is somebody playing the long game, trying to keep interest peaked over an extended period of time. The other interesting thing with the AEW situation, as you mentioned, people are not willing to look into what the guys say and use common sense to understand what it is, what point they are getting across. Somebody today decided, since Monday, I made a joke, the hashtag things louder than this crowd was trending. I made a joke being told to turn my AEW shirt inside out by security is louder than the WWE crowd. Just simple Twitter joke. And I had a couple people who thought they needed to like get on me about somebody wearing an AEW shirt to a WWE show. They went as far as to claim that StarCast and All In had nothing to do with each other because Cody said they were two separate entities. And I'm like, guys, like they had the All In press conference at StarCast. I'm like, the program for StarCast with all the guys from All In on it was sold by StarCast. I'm like, they had a mutual working relationship. And they argued about it so much that first social network guy for StarCast chimed in. Then Cody himself chimed in, is like, hey guys, yeah, we're not like the same company, but we work together. We enjoy spending time together. We're all friends outside of the business. Like we put on a joint venture. We put on StarCast or All In. They put on StarCast, and we both benefited from it as separate companies. Like he had to like come out because apparently people just can't like take what is for what it is. They want a direct quote from like these guys, and I'm like, you don't need it. Like if you look at what happened at the program, you can tell that they were two separate companies with two separate deals. You had to buy them separate on Fight TV, and they worked together. Like, it's obvious. And to claim that it was okay for people to wear WWE shirts at StarCast because StarCast had absolutely nothing to do with All In Weekend was ludicrous. But, you know, fans right now are so upset about AEW, some of them, that they've lost all ability to, you know, separate, like, fact from fiction at this point.
Well, and let's not act like the AEW fanboys aren't just equally as guilty with this. They have a little more ammo because the WWE product has been poor, but some of the AEW fanboys saying that, you know, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is going to bury the WWE, and they mean it. Yeah. It's like, guys, like you're drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
The guy,
like, just stop.
The guy who tweeted out that Vince McMahon murdered Owen Hart, I wouldn't put him past him having sent someone to kill Chris Benoit. And now he took Becky out of the WrestleMania main event. I'm done with WWE. I'm all in for the AEW. That was one of the most ridiculous tweets I've ever read in my life. If the person was even semi-serious in writing that, then they really need to seek some anger management help and kind of come down to reality of like what is real and what is fiction. Because, wow, it was something to read, man.
So let's not act like both sides aren't at least, you know, somewhat guilty of this, of overhyping and burying the other side. I don't understand what the issue is. Like, AEW is clearly, again, go listen to the Tony Khan interviews and listen to what he's saying and listen to who some of his favorite wrestlers and some of his favorite matches are. And this is going to be an alternative to WWE. This is going to be something vastly different. We're going to, wins and losses are going to count. I don't think it's any secret or surprise or like any coincidence that Tony Khan, in his list of favorite wrestlers and tag teams, included guys like Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express, and so a lot of old school guys. Like, I think this product is, I think it's going to tilt away from what we've seen. There's going to be some silliness and funny and lighthearted aspects at points, but I think we're going to see this thing tilt away, and we're going to see an Americanized style of New Japan where it is taken very seriously. Yeah. And you're going to have tournaments and wins and losses and points and number one contenders and championships are going to matter. And you're going to have nice long championship runs with matches that matter and all the things that we've just been craving for. We're going to get that with WWE level TV production.
Yep.
Tony has gone out of his way to say that this is going to be visually is going to be top level in its production. They are going all out in the production aspect.
Yep.
So,
and speaking of
the
production aspect, since we've already pretty much segued into it, there we go. AEW Wrestling news and updates. Let's talk about the big news factor with AEW. One of the things everybody should have heard by now, of course, 4 minutes. 4-minute sellout for Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, people are buying. Again, these are events.
Yep.
Because there's another Starcast 2. They're going all out with the Starcast lineup. It's in Vegas. I need to see how this plays. The Jacksonville show is going to be telling.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be at the stadium. They're going to probably run a stadium show.
Yep.
Before they have TV.
Yeah, which is saying something on its own right there. I mean, being able to run a stadium show before you're on network television.
It helps when your owner owns the stadium. Okay, like let's not pretend that isn't a real nice little thing. But do they sell 4-minute sellout? Yet 27 minute sellout for All In.
Mm-hmm.
Double or Nothing. 4 minutes.
Yep. For a venue about the same size.
Yeah, like 1,000 seats more. Do you sell 25,000 tickets in a stadium?
I don't know. I heard that there were like 25,000 people in the waiting room who didn't get tickets when tickets sold, and I was like, "Well, wow." I'm like, "That's a lot of extra tickets."
That is a lot of extra tickets. So do you sell 40? Do you sell out a stadium? I mean, that's a. I mean, I don't know the Jacksonville seating capacity right offhand. But I for a wrestling program, I got to imagine it's got to be 65. Do you sell out a stadium program with no TV for your third show? If they do that, I think everybody, including WWE, maybe not running scared, but you have to take them seriously. You can't dismiss that. That is no small feat.
Yeah, I agree. We get to a point where they have 3 sellout shows in a row, and they get to a stadium level size show, and they sell out. That will be something that, I mean, everybody will have to admit. What a lot of us have said already, that AEW is moving at a good clip to be on par with WWE, not put them out of business, and not end WWE wrestling, but to be a very real other option to WWE.
So just at a glance, capacity for TIAA Bank Field,
okay,
the stadium for the Jacksonville Jaguars that Shahid Khan owns, has the capacity listed at 67,814, expandable to 82,000.
Yeah.
If they do 40, I think that's a wild success. That's like, unicorn rainbows and all the like magical awesomeness in the world, let alone getting close to a sellout or selling out. If I'm them, I kind of cap it right at the 60, 67, and you try to hit that number so you can say it's a sellout.
Yep.
But, because that'll make a difference. But I don't know. That's a lot of. I mean, like I said, man, I said it when All In sold out. I was like, that's awesome. They've done it once. You got to give them credit. They're doing something. We didn't know we were getting another one. Okay, we're getting another one. Obviously, they've done it again, and they sold it out in 4 minutes.
Yep.
It's just gone. Just completely gone. All right. They've done 2 venues of about 10,000, 12,000.
Mm-hmm.
And they've absolutely knocked it out of the park. All right. If they go back to Chicago and they go back to, Sears or wherever, that's going to sell out. But I want to see the TIAA Bankfield show, unless they do go next door and they run the arena next door.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe they do that. If I'm them, again, and they'll have the metadata, they'll have the numbers. If there were really 25,000 people in queue to buy tickets,
Mm-hmm.
if there were really that many people that they had to turn away, do the stadium. Just do the stadium and see how many people you can get to go.
Yeah.
Even if you don't sell out, even if you get 38,000, 40,000, that's the biggest non-WWE show in I don't know how long.
Yep. Well, I mean, All In with the largest non-WWE show since WCW.
Yes, it's
So,
WCW,
I mean,
but I
You're
mean
still
that
looking
would
at that being. I mean, what
if
was
they-
the Georgia Dome when WCW sold out Georgia Dome?
60
Yeah.
maybe.
So I mean, they'd have to beat that to at very least to beat that beat WCW. I don't know if WWE's had larger crowds than that one, but I do remember that being one of their larger ones. So they'd have to outdo the Georgia Dome to say they've at the very least say they did WCW. But still, I mean, anything 40 to 60,000 is going to be a huge success. And you look at it, WWE, so we look at Double or Nothing. It's on the tails of Ring of Honor at in April at Madison Square Garden, WWE WrestleMania, and the War of the Worlds tour for Ring of Honor is going on in April, or in May. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on between April and the end of May when Double or Nothing is, and they're selling out tickets to the number that they did in 4 minutes with a lot of other wrestling going on at that same time. I mean, there's a fight for that ticket dollar among fans, and a 4-minute sellout that's just huge. And big kudos to all those guys on such a roaring success.
Yeah, it's a credit to what they're building. It's a real testament to the type of product that they've been able to develop with just in a month. Like it's unbelievable. Yeah. And you have to give all those guys the utmost credit. And they just keep signing and they keep giving us more and more talent, and it's going to get better and better. We're just going to get more and more. And wow, I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm really excited for AEW.
A piece of news I heard today via the Twitter machine, AEW related, is something we talked about before, that I made a intelligent claim, looking forward, saying who I thought might do some of their music. A lot of people were saying, oh, we gotta get Jim Johnson. It seems like as I assumed, Downstate will be doing some of their music, as they're currently working on Britt Baker's theme music. So I'm like, that's fantastic, because I love me some Downstate. They do obviously the Miz's music and Cody Rhodes music. Amazing a band. They know how to do a rock anthem, with putting someone's character into it without making it sound contrived. And that's a unique skill. There's a lot of these people's music where they put lyrics in that try to match these guys' characters. It doesn't fit. And these guys have done it multiple times with multiple different wrestlers. So I'm looking forward to hearing anything they put out for AEW.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, fantastic. Just to take it back to the attendance, I found it, and I was way off. Georgia Dome, Hogan Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
Probably should have been a pay-per-view. We got it for free. 41,412.
Okay. So
If they really had 25,000 in the queue,
yeah, they're looking
that
over Georgia Dome
that
numbers.
that's reachable.
Yeah.
They're not there, but it's within reach.
Yep.
I don't know, man. They're making big moves. And I'm kind of we're at the point now, it's so hard to tell what's a work and what's a shoot in terms of the news that's coming out. Every week we get 2 or 3 people that are allegedly asking for the release or not re-signing with WWE. I don't know what we can believe anymore. Yeah, that one's legit. Ty Dillinger's legit. He is. He did it on Twitter. He's put it out there.
Yep.
He's looking to go. He wants to go, and you can't blame the guy. He's got crazy talent, and he's just wasting away in the the lower mid card.
Well,
They'll do something with him for a minute, and then you don't see him for 6 weeks.
And I think something a lot of people missed when they were yelling about how quiet the fans were with the new NXT stars showing up on Raw was that with more NXT talent coming up, less guys who are currently on the roster are going to get TV time. And we just had a group of NXT talent come up who haven't done anything. EC3 has yet to speak on television. Lacey Evans walks down to the ring and back up, and that's it. Like, she doesn't actually wrestle. They just brought these guys up, and they're not using them. And then you got guys like Ty Dillinger, who just completely lost in the shuffle.
People are already writing articles panning EC3, saying he's dead on arrival.
Yep.
And that's telling, man. This is a guy, he's got everything that Vince would typically like in a guy: a look, a gimmick. He's got that natural heel charisma, and they're already panning him and saying that he's done in WWE. Lacey Evans, they're saying, Vince is and this is multiple sources are reporting this. He views her as the female Roman Reigns. So get ready to deal with a whole lot of Lacey Evans. I think some of her just walking around is they don't know what to do with her yet because, the whole, they're trying to get Becky, Ronda, Charlotte over, and they don't really know what they're doing with Asuka, and who knows where they're going to put Lacey Evans. But would it surprise me to see her challenge whoever comes out of Mania with the title on Raw and get this, she's going to start knocking people off and get this huge, Roman-esque push? No, she's got a lot of things that Vince likes.
Yep.
It's not rocket science. So let's get back to AEW news, Bob.
Okay.
Did you see the report? And this is confirmed. Kota Ibushi will not be signing with AEW and plans to finish his career in New Japan.
I did see that, and I think a key part of that is to read everything that he said. His statement was that he would like to end his career in New Japan. He did make that claim, but he also said the reason he didn't go to AEW is because once he went there, there'd be nowhere else to go higher than that. Like, that would be the culmination, and his career would have already hit its peak, and he wouldn't be able to grow beyond that. And he wants an opportunity to grow with New Japan and to grow his character and grow his career, and he felt that heading to America and being part of a business in venture the size of AEW and not being allowed to still work in New Japan would leave him without anything to do in the future that would be bigger than that. Where, as we know, New Japan works with Ring of Honor. He can if New Japan and Ring of Honor have a multi-talent show in exchange, he can work with them. There's opportunity there to work in the U.S. and still be part of New Japan, where he's loved, where he can become eventually an IWGP champion, where he can be part of that conversation. It makes a lot of sense. I think if we wouldn't have seen Kenny Omega win the IWGP championship this last year, there might have been a chance that he may have not been as interested in heading to the U.S. For AEW either. I think it would have been more of a question on his part but having achieved the highest title he could achieve in an IWGP World Championship in New Japan, why not go with his friends and make history? Like, there's an opportunity for him to go beyond what he's done already. And I think it's a good decision by Kota Ibushi. I would have loved to have seen him in AEW. I'm going to enjoy watching him in New Japan, though, as well, as we got some big New Japan shows coming up in the next couple of months, and I am super excited. I want to see what he's going to do and see if he's going to be part of any of these Ring of Honor shows. I'm excited, man.
Not everybody needs to go to AEW. Like, this is a good example of a guy who is going to get elevated by some of the guys going to AEW. Yeah. He's a phenomenal talent. He loves New Japan. He can come to the States and work Ring of Honor dates, with the crossover promotion. It just absolutely makes sense to stay, at least for the time being. You never know what the future is going to hold, but it really does in Ibushi's case, and he makes the point. He likes the situation. He likes the way things are going. He likes the direction of his career. It was a really insightful interview. So it's just, we know we're not going to get him in AEW anytime soon.
Yeah.
What's soon? At least probably a year, maybe 2. You never know what's going to happen with talent sharing agreements, how that changes. Again, if he gets championship, gets a run, who knows? But he is going to stay put for the time being. Another guy that is at least interested in AEW that has, strong New Japan ties is one Davey Boy Smith Jr.
Absolutely.
He gave an interview saying that he hasn't spoke with anybody at AEW, but he would definitely be interested, and he's excited for what they're doing. But he did remain firm on his other commitments. He's got his New Japan commitments. He's got MLW commitments. And he's one of those guys that he moved to Japan. He's all in Japan. Mm-hmm. Like, he loves Japan. So, but he did open the door and say that it's exciting, and he was very excited about it and would be interested in at least a conversation should that opportunity present itself.
Yep. A lot of people want to see the new Hart dynasty in AEW. Obviously, Teddy Hart, Davey Boy Smith, and Brian Pillman Jr. A lot of people have tweeted that out and been like, "Hey, we want to see these guys." And I can't blame anybody. I like those guys are all extremely talented. And seeing Brian Jr. on Being the Elite recently was a bit of a highlight. I was like, all right, that's awesome. Like, more of that, please, because I'm a big Brian Pillman senior and junior fan.
So Pillman was just so happened to be on Jericho's podcast, and it seems like it had been recorded a little while ago. Okay. I'm not sure exactly when he recorded it, but he was on there, and I don't know if it was a coincidence of the timing of the release of that podcast. So that could be interesting. But you've got some of those new quote unquote new Hart Foundation type members that may be interested in AEW. It definitely would be a compelling storyline. It would give that feeling of legitimacy, especially if they were talking up the dungeon, the multi-generational family, wrestling family, things like that. All the things they seem to want to hit on. Very exciting, So hey, possibilities out there, and those are. I mean, there's so much, like I said, so much news, quote unquote news. I try to limit myself to focusing on ones where it's actually them in the interview, where they're saying, hey, yeah, that's super exciting and awesome, and maybe I'd be interested in that. Or like with Ibushi saying, yeah, no, I'm staying in New Japan. Like, this is where I want to be. Like, because it's coming from the horse's mouth. Now, again, they could always change their mind, but that's the most reliable source at this point.
Now, you've seen the confirmed matches so far for Double or Nothing, correct?
I haven't seen it recently. I know we're getting Hangman and Pac. Yep. That's going to be exciting. It looks like we're going to get Omega Jericho too, correct?
Correct.
Like,
which
That's
is
what's
fantastic. And Jericho is playing the heel role, and oh my God, it's so good. I don't know if you've been watching Cody's YouTube. I don't know if you check that out at all.
I have not.
Okay, so they've been doing this thing where they're very, very shoot in a lot of it. It's a lot of like, hey, we want to do this as a company. This is what we're looking to do. Hey, here's a huge announcement. We signed this person. Here's a look at this person and a like bio of this person we just signed. They're doing that kind of thing. But then they also did the thing where you know, at one point they have Billy Gunn. They have Billy Gunn, Cody, and one of the other guys sitting around the table with Hangman and Daniels. And so Cody tells Billy Gunn, he's like, hey, you're the head of like talent. You need to or you're the head of production. You need to tell him he can't be wearing his gear around all the time like Pac because he's too fat. And then Billy Gunn's like, hey, Hangman, you can't wear all your gear all the time, man, because you're fat. And just like lays it out there. And then Cody does the same thing, said the same thing to Daniels, and is like, hey, you're the head of talent relations. You need to tell him you can't, because he's fat, blah, blah, blah. And then Daniels puts on the WB talking point of like, so management has talked, and we've kind of come to the conclusion that while you're a fantastic part of the roster and we love everything that you bring to the roster, there are some wrestlers who are really better suited to promote their merchandise sales, and we think you would be better in a t-shirt or maybe like a singlet. And like really plays it off like a corporate stooge. So they did that. But this week's back to Jericho, which is awesome, is Jericho. They're sitting there, they're talking about stuff, and then a video comes up on the screen of Chris Jericho from like Twitter or something, and Jericho cuts a promo about like, oh, congratulations AEW, you sold out in 4 minutes. Oh, it's the boys did this. Oh, the fans did this. This was a working between the boys and the fans. But was it really? Was it really the boys? Was it really the fans? Or did Chris Jericho all by himself sell out in 4 minutes? And Cody looks like he's going to have a freaking stroke as he's watching it. And I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. The way they're playing this up and the way they're keeping the show partially a factual introduction to the company, and then throwing in just 1 or 2 little segments into those videos which have some kayfabe to them. I love every minute of it, and it blurs those lines just enough. I mean, we obviously know that Jericho freaking didn't like sign up with the company and then it's like turning his back on them or something. We know this is a work, but the way they weave it into the regular show is just fantastic.
Jericho's just amazing. Like Jericho, he's just so good.
Absolutely.
And he can just make you hate him on a drop of a hat. Like he's just so good. So, Bob, like what else you got in the queue? Because
we got a tag team match too on that show. That's the other thing we haven't talked about. The Lucha Brothers versus the Bucks.
I did see that. Yeah. I watched the Las Vegas press conference. And yeah, that's gonna be a barn burner, man. That's gonna be some good. It's gonna be the best tag team match of the year.
Yep.
Right there. Like I don't, all due respect to everybody else out there, like that's. I mean, unless something just goes completely sideways, I can't see that not just bringing the house down. That's the show stealer match.
Yep. And the one other match we have the ladies match. It's the triple threat between all 3 women who have been announced as part of AEW. Do you know everybody's names offhand? I know Britt Baker is one of our ladies.
Bob, you're supposed to have the prepared material. It's Britt Baker, Brandy, and...
Oh, Brandy's not in it. It's Kylie...
Okay. Then I missed a signing. So this is why you're supposed to do prep work, Bob.
I had prep work, but we pushed back recording like 3 times. All right, let me get our ladies' names here, and hopefully this doesn't do something crazy to my video feed as I'm bringing stuff up on the phone.
All right. Let's see. Dead air's bad air, Bob.
Hey.
Like you're a bad producer.
I liked it much better when I was calling into you and you were doing all the production.
Oh yeah, of course you did. I know you did. So Oh, why is it so hard to find?
Because the
double or
internet's the
nothing.
internet.
AEW. Let's see. Do they have the card? Do we have the card?
Card.
We do have the card. One
Oh,
second.
dear God.
Kylie
It's
Ray.
T-Bob Dunn having equipment failure.
Great.
It's all
Kylie
It's
Ray,
all
Nyla Rose, and Britt Baker are our 3. You got any audio over there? Or are you anything going for
I'm
you?
good. I can hear you, and I'm assuming you can hear me. It's probably not ideal.
Nope.
So, yeah, we've got. So I've got the full card that I'm looking at now that I've pulled it. We've got Hangman Page Pac. We got SCU.
Yes.
Versus a bunch of TBAs.
Yep.
That's what so SCU will be on the card. We've got Omega Jericho 2. We've got the triple threat match between Dr. Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, and Kylie Ray. Cody will be on the card in a TBA announcement, and that's what I've got. And it looks like they're having an over budget battle royal again.
They are. That was the last one I was gonna bring up. But that would be the card as of now. I can even maybe if the come on. I was gonna try to go get some graphic up here, but apparently my phone is just gonna crap out because it's running OBS at the same time of running everything else.
Yeah. So it's technical issue. It's technical issue. So this week is fired.
Yeah.
Fans, folks. I'm quitting. I'm done. I'm going. What I'm going to go do is
we got the one more thing we got to talk about. What we brought up at the start of the show.
What's that?
Bullet Club is fine. Bullet Club is absolutely fine. And there is a new IWGP World Champion in one Jay White of the Bullet Club. And not only is
he really new anymore, Bob? Like he's been champ for a couple weeks now, right?
Hey, he's new for us. It's our first show since, and we got the Switchblade merch on, and not only do they have the IWGP World Champion, Heavyweight Champion, they got the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion in Bone Soldier. Hopefully things go well this weekend. We might see God as the tag team champs again. They're in contention for the IWGP tag titles. And they have something coming up in New York City. They got their own little block party going on where the entire group of guys are going to be there just before WrestleMania, hanging out, having drinks, eating food. And we're gonna be there, Jordan and I, checking that out. And that's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. And for everybody who seems to think that AEW killed the Bullet Club, sorry to say, guys, but Bullet Club's fine.
Bullet Club is fine. So, look, like they just plug and play, man. Like as long as that hardcore core is there, they're going to be able to find, that one Gaijin wrestler to plug in at the top. Now this time it's Jay White. He's a younger guy. Hopefully he gets a nice long run as the head of the Bullet Club. But let's not act like the Bullet Club, it was going to die every time somebody left, and it's just never died. Yep. So don't expect it.
I mean, they survived losing Fergal Devitt, Finn Balor. They survived losing Anderson and Gallows. They survived losing AJ Styles. They survived losing the entire bulk that was the Elite and is now pretty much AEW wrestling. It's not something we should be surprised about. Tama Tonga, Tama Loa are one of the best tag teams in New Japan, if not the best. I would say they're the best. But then again, I'm going to be in a room with Tama Tonga and Tama Loa, and I wouldn't want it to get out that I said otherwise.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at the guys who have left; they continue to be successful elsewhere. The Bullet Club is a breeding ground for talent in professional wrestling around the world, And I don't expect that to change unless New Japan decides that they can no longer make money with that Bullet Club t-shirt sales, and then maybe we will see them do something else. But I think Bullet Club might have a life much of like what Chaos has had at this point. I think we can see Bullet Club for years to come.
Keeps going. So, yeah, Bullet Club is fine, folks. And we should be getting, again, it's, Jay White getting a big push makes sense. We'll see how long he runs with the belt. They've got a lot of interesting storylines now. It's going to elevate some people. The Elite leaving opens up that roster a little bit more so that some of the actual Japanese talent can kind of hang out at the top. Yeah, I mean, there's always been, but there's a couple new spots open. It'll be interesting to see who moves in to take those spots.
Yep. I mean, and it's interesting to see New Japan guys working with Chaos guys. Like, I mean, the guys who aren't part of Chaos, we see this kind of group coming together. And the Bullet Club have, LIJ to worry about as well still, Suzuki-gun. There's still a lot of challenges out there. And, of course, they're getting ready for G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden, which is a co-show with Ring of Honor. They have some co-shows with Ring of Honor coming up this weekend. Then they got War of the Worlds in May. So there's plenty for the Bullet Club and New Japan guys to be doing here in the next couple months.
True story. All right, Bob. I wasn't lying when I said this week was fired, so let's wrap it up. I'm done.
Well, you head to bed, and I will handle signing us all off and going through the rest of the things, man. Hopefully, we'll get back into a regular shooting, schedule at some point here in the near future. And if life quits kicking you squarely in the balls when you're not looking, that is.
Yeah, true story. So, and what a better way to close than a little homage to the Bullet Club and One Tamatanga.
Thank you, Brother Travis. All right, well, that's it for tonight. Travis is going to head to bed. I think I am going to shortly do the same, probably after a bit of an editing session. Please, if you like the show, we'd like to thank you for joining us. We'd like you to check us out on Facebook, Smarkdown Radio, Twitter, Smarkdown Radio, and YouTube, of course, is probably where you're watching this, and that is also Smarkdown Radio. We are on Twitch. We have a Twitch channel. We have been streaming WWE 2K19 Universe Mode. We have a WCW program with Nitro and Thunder. WCW in this case stands for Women's Championship Wrestling and features some of the top female athletes in action today, including many who are in WWE. And, we just play that a couple times a week. The videos come up here on YouTube once a week, usually on the weekend that comes up. If you watch live, we are usually streaming on Mondays and Thursdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So if you want to join us for that, we would love to have you come by and check it out. But once again, I've been your host, Brother Bob, from myself, from Travis. We will see you soon. Too sweet, everybody, and good night.